Welcome to Asian Quick Take. I'm Jacob. As the US federal debt continues to soar, doubts about the supremacy of the US dollar are growing worldwide. Several countries are accelerating their efforts to reduce reliance on the dollar by selling US Treasury bonds, repatriating gold reserves, and promoting the development of digital currencies. This global collaboration aims to challenge US hegemony. In this wave of transformation, gold reserves and digital currencies play crucial roles, paving the way for the reshaping of the global economic order. The US federal debt has reached nearly $32.5 trillion, with Japan and China being the largest creditors. Within just over a month since the debt ceiling was raised in early June, an additional $1 trillion of debt has accumulated. According to Wall Street institutions, issuing $1.7 trillion in new bonds will be necessary to balance expenditures. This turbulence poses potential risks to US Treasury bonds and the US banking sector. The impact on the US financial system caused by the tightening of the US credit market will ultimately weaken the financial reputation and status of the US dollar. Once the dollar loses its status, the debt-dependent financial model of the United States will rapidly disintegrate. Wise central banks worldwide, including US allies and emerging economies, are speeding up the liquidation of US Treasury bonds, shaking the logic of the US debt-based economy and weakening the currency dividend of the US dollar. This partially explains why US Treasury Secretary Yellen requested China to purchase US Treasury bonds last week. Over 100 countries globally are striving for de-dollarization. The once perilous debt ceiling crisis, which occurs every few years in the United States, has eroded people's trust in the dollar and damaged its financial advantage. The petrodollar system and the relative lag of the United States in the field of digital currencies have challenged the status of the dollar. According to the latest survey by the Bank for International Settlements, it is estimated that by 2030, approximately 24 central banks from emerging and developed economies will issue digital currencies. Most new central bank digital currencies will be applied in commodity trade settlements and have grown by 35% over the past 5 years. Some economies have also issued digital currencies backed by strategic resources such as oil, diamonds, and gold. Others are exploring the operation of digital currencies with sovereign credit on blockchain. The South African Reserve Bank announced a successful test of the third stage of its central bank digital currency pilot project, COCA, 1 week ago. Japan, New Zealand, France, and Germany are also studying the issuance of digital currencies. Representatives from the China Export and Import Bank stated that the issuance of the digital renminbi is a necessary choice to respond to changes in the international monetary situation. China is seeking to introduce the digital renminbi into its economic activities with other countries and exploring its application in cross-border payments. China's participation in the exploration of central bank digital currencies by multiple countries signifies further internationalization of the digital renminbi. China's digital currency is considered one of the most advanced central bank digital currency initiatives globally. Digitizing the renminbi will make the international financial system more transparent. Russian media has suggested that this move will facilitate the global markets process of moving away from the dollar. Against the backdrop of the reconstruction of the global financial order, oil-producing countries bound by the dollar can create a gold-backed digital reserve currency that is accepted and supported by central banks worldwide, serving as an alternative to reduce or bypass the dollar. According to reports from TASS, countries such as China, Russia, India, Brazil, and South Africa may announce the launch of a joint currency at the Johannesburg Summit in August. This plan includes creating a new development bank as a clearing center and launching a new trade settlement digital currency, anchored to gold. Iran, Saudi Arabia, and countries in the Eurasian Economic Union may also be included, potentially establishing a new global trade settlement standard that bypasses or runs parallel to the dollar. Leading research institution the McGill International recommends, in its updated report on July 8, that oil-producing countries like Iran, Iraq, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia can convert a portion of their oil revenues into gold reserves to support the prospect of establishing a global digital reserve currency system anchored to gold. The rapid growth of digital currencies signals the weakening of the dollar and the potential formation of a new global digital currency order. At that time, the renminbi, oil, gold, and other strategic commodities will play more significant roles as digital currencies directly connect an increasing number of central banks worldwide, bypassing the US-based banking system. This effectively reassesses the role of the dollar. Saudi Arabia, as a party to the petrodollar agreement, is considering purchasing gold with the renminbi at the Shanghai Gold Exchange and exploring the cross-border settlement functions of a gold-backed digital currency. This explains why China has accelerated its gold holdings in international reserve assets. The latest data supports this trend.
Matt, do you think the Lakers can win another title?
You bet.
Any advice for your opponent?
Better watch out.
Pam just got back from Italy. Her miles were worth more with Delta Vacations, so she did more. A lot more. And now she's here.
Now, let's talk
Kinda.
about...
Now it's easier to vacation harder with the new Delta Vacations.
According to the World Gold Council's Central Bank Gold Reserves Survey 2023 published on July 9th, China imported a total of 546 tons of gold in the first 4 months of this year, marking the strongest quarterly performance since 2015. The latest data released by the People's Bank of China on July 7th shows an increase of 74 tons in gold reserves in the first 6 months of this year, marking the 8th consecutive month of growth. According to the latest report from the Swiss Customs Administration, Switzerland shipped 54 tons of gold to China in May, representing a 400% increase compared to the same period last year. A total of 344 tons of gold arrived in China from Switzerland in the first 5 months of this year, marking a 78% increase from the previous year. Based on data from the World Gold Council, the Swiss Customs Administration, and the People's Bank of China, at least 964 tons of gold have been delivered to China from major international gold markets in Europe and the United States since January this year. This starkly contrasts with China's reduction of US Treasury holdings by over 20% since last year. Against the backdrop of global de-dollarization, according to the US Department of the Treasury's International Capital Flows report released this year, US ally countries represented by France, Saudi Arabia, Belgium, Germany, Australia, and Israel have taken up the banner of liquidating US Treasury bonds and are driving the process of central banks globally selling off US Treasury bonds and substituting them with gold. Japan's holdings of US Treasury bonds have also dropped to a 3-year low. Recently, the yen started to depreciate, and Japan's holdings of US Treasury bonds may fall below $1 trillion. The Bank of Japan announced on July 8 that the country's digital currency experiment has entered its 3rd stage, with plans for a pilot test involving consumers and cross-border businesses. The Ministry of Finance and the Financial Services Agency of Japan are also jointly planning to establish an international network for digital currency payments similar to SWIFT, to bypass the dollar and conduct transactions with multiple countries globally, including Iran, in areas such as oil. Amid the constraints on the dollar, oil-producing countries can create a gold-backed digital reserve currency that is accepted and supported by central banks worldwide, serving as an alternative to reduce or bypass the dollar. Therefore, there is a global push to transform the supremacy of the dollar. The rapid growth of digital currencies will weaken the dollar and eventually form a new global digital currency order. In this process, the renminbi, oil, gold, and other strategic commodities will play increasingly vital roles. This evolution reminds countries worldwide, especially the United States, to recognize the trend of declining dollar hegemony and take timely adjustments and measures accordingly. Thank you for watching.